Hi everyone. Upon request, multiple requests, I thought I might make a video to show and walk you through how I've set up my 2022 Metaphysician's Day Planner. You can see in the background my 2021 Day Planner. For the past multiple years, I've been working with the 6x9 trade paperback. It's a little smaller. You can tuck it into a smaller handbag, take it with you on the go. This year, for the first time, I decided to go for the A4. So this isn't even the US letter size. It's the A4 European. Maybe the first thing you'll notice is I created little tabs with Post-its, with colorful Post-it paper. I sectioned off, for example, the monthly, quarterly, and then the week at a glance day planner section. For the week at a glance section, I have tabs for all of the 4 quarters. And then I have tabs for the notes section, the blank paper. And then I have tabs for the many different subjects that you're going to find in the back, what I refer to as the grimoire section. And for the back page spread of the Naples arrangement of the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, I colored it in with colored pencils already. I also manually cut and tape in extra pages to the grimoire section. So for example, here you can see the original page was the 5 phases. So this is the page in the back grimoire section. And what I did was I printed out these pages back and front, and then I used Scotch tape and just taped it right in there. You know, life happens, you forget things. So in the back, I have several page spreads for the 5 changing phases. And then for some bizarre reason, I forgot this year to include just even 1 page on the 8 trigrams. So if you want it, I will include a link to a PDF that you can just print and do exactly the same thing I did here, which is you just have to manually print it out. I recommend manually printing it out on both sides. It just saves paper and it just makes it a lot easier. And then you just literally cut it down so it fits inside the page and tape it in. You know how if you buy a lot of indie decks, they always come with, well, not always, but a lot of times indie deck creators include these adorable little stickers in with their, well, this is Hello Kitty, but like I have a sticker collection. I know I'm an adult, but I have a sticker collection even as an adult. And the indie deck creators really help add to my sticker collection. And what I'll do is I will actually decorate the interior pages of my day planner with these tarot stickers. Since I've already written a lot of really personal information and also day job work related stuff into my actual day planner for 2022. I can't show you the actual pages in my day planner. So what I'm going to do is show you the PDF version on screen and just narrate what I've been doing to the various sections. I have this random word generator thing, links if you're interested. The random word I generated for 2022 was eminence, so I went with it. For the daily reminders section, what I have in my day planner, I have a quote, well, translated into English from the Diamond Sutra, which is, "You are what you are not." And then I also took a quote that is in my Way of the Warrior or Oracle deck. And just a fair warning, this is a code of honor that might not align with a lot of people's cultural beliefs who are watching, but it is my cultural belief. So just a caveat, might not be your cup of tea. What I wrote in here for my daily reminders does come from warrior codes of ethics in East Asia. And this is: be devoted to those you love, put their needs before your own desires. Put their needs before your own desires. And the wording is pretty important. Another section I wanted to highlight that people might struggle with thinking of what to put is the bottom part of that front cover page, which highlights a quote by Annie Dillard, which is, "How we spend our days is how we spend our lives." I put in there some pretty tangible, concrete reminders, such as doing devotionals to divinity. And then what I also did was I took out my tarot deck and focused on that question and asked myself, or asked the deck, or asked Spirit for guidance as to how I want to spend my days in 2022 to reflect what my deepest internal heart or my higher self, however you want to phrase it, wants to spend this life. And then I pull a card. And what I had pulled was actually key 0, the keeper, Ashura. And so what I did was I took some notes on the card. I wrote in the trigram, which is heaven, and that is creative force, expansive energy. And I use these keywords as little reminder notes in this section of my day planner. So every time I open up my guidebook, I will see that I want to spend my 2022 sitting in creative energy and expansive forces, expensive forces too. That sounds nice, but expansive forces. For that page spread with your natal chart and your 2022 solar returns chart, I also wrote in some notes. You'll remember one of the guidebooks walks you through how to run your own astrological forecast for some of the personal planets in your chart. And so a lot of that work that I did, I would write little notes in this section, things that are going to be applicable for the entire year. The 10 rays of self-illumination. For those who are wondering, how do you fill this section in? Here's what I did. Some of these boxes, right, are super easy for me to fill in, and they will be for you. You'll know exactly what you want to put in there. And then for the little boxes that you struggle with a little bit, what I did was, again, I went to a trusty tarot deck, a deck I want to work with, and you pull a card. For that page spread of cartomancy month by month forecasts, prior to the commencement of 2022, I only actually just did 6 months, as you can see. I'll actually write the horary astrology for the date and time I run the forecasts. It's always interesting to reflect back on later. And so I'll put the some astrological notes on the date and time of when I actually do the forecasts. And then I only did 6 months. So I haven't done July through December yet for my forecasts. For the cartomancy section, if you're working with the Spirit Keepers Tarot deck, what I do is I actually pull 2 cards for every single month. And then after I pull 2 cards, I use the trigram correspondences for the cards to cast a hexagram. And then I'll take notes on the short form oracle message from the resulting hexagram into the cartomancy forecast section as well. So for every single month, I'm not only pulling 2 cards rather than 1 for each month, but also doing an each reading for that month. If it's at all helpful in terms of practice for some people watching this, in this type of a reading, when using the Spirit Keepers Tarot deck, I will read the page cards, the heralds, just as an ordinary page card, meaning I don't pull extra cards. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. If you know what I'm talking about because you've been working with the SKT, then I'm talking to you. For this, I don't do that. I just pull the page card and go, oh, it's a page card, and I read it in a straightforward way as you would read any page in any tarot deck. For this quarterly planning section, you find what your tarot card is for the year. So for 2022, mine is going to be the World card, and that corresponds with the number 3. And so the realm of 3s from the Minor Arcana pips will be the cards I want to work with and reflect and gain insights from for 2022. Now, because for me, based on my birth month and day, 2022 is going to be a world year plus the 3s. I do, because the fire wands point of Aries first quarter, right? That's the spring equinox. Then you have the Tropic of Cancer. That's the water energy that corresponds with summer. And so that's how I'm doing it. And in that case, that means the scepters will be spring, the first quarter. The chalices will be the second quarter. And then the swords will, because of the point of Libra, is going to be air, swords, the third quarter. And then earth, the fourth quarter, the Tropic of Capricorn is going to be the final quarter. So that means what I do is 3 of wands, 3 of chapters, 3 of scepters is going to correspond with the first quarter. So I reflect and do some planning and try to gain some insights from the general energies of the 3 of wands card in tarot for my first quarter. And then same with the second quarter, I use 3 of cups, the 3 of chalices. And then for the third quarter, I use 3 of swords, fourth quarter, 3 of pentacles, 3 of discs, or in my SKT deck, the 3 of orbs. We are now at the month at a glance section in your day planner. You'll recall from one of the companion guidebooks that you get that you can calculate when transiting Mercury, transiting Venus, transiting Mars are dignified, ill-dignified, favorable for you, etc. Right? When the better days for you and the not as great days for you for the year. And I use the ephemeris tables here in this section to actually flag and highlight those days in the month at a glance section. That way, whenever I'm trying to make assessments or plan strategically for a particular month, I'll look at this page spread and immediately I can see the good days and the bad days per those transiting analyses. Here in the month at a glance section, you'll see in the top right corner of the month of every month, there's a very, very general, broad strokes global forecast. Um, and even though it doesn't always apply personally, or how applicable it is to you at the individual level really depends on your own birth chart, it's always just an interesting forecast to kind of keep an eye out and see how it compares to global trends and essentially what you're reading in global news, right? And then what I find that I rely heavily on, which is why you'll see this every single year, is this section on the Chinese astrological auspicious dates. And I do rely on this pretty heavily. I did want to talk about these back grimoire pages. I think for some people it may feel a little bit overwhelming, but I hope you will just take it bite size at a time. It's not about having to know everything instantly or having to use every single page every single day. Heck, I don't do that at all. These are just resources that are there for you in a pinch, right? And so I kind of use it in bite-sized pieces. One way through the years that has really helped me master or learn this information and retain it by memory is to have these grimoire pages in the back of my day planner that I always carry with me everywhere I go. So in any free moment, I can pull out my day planner, go through these back pages, and just day by day, bit by bit, just like that, year after year, by constantly revisiting these pages and committing it to memory, you don't need it anymore at some point. It's really interesting how that works. And I think instead of feeling like you need to hunker down and study all of this in one fell swoop or take some intense, crazy expensive certification course to learn this information, you can do it piece by piece, day by day, month by month. These grimoire pages is something I came up with back in my college days. So we're talking 2 decades ago. What I would do is you'd buy a day planner, or the school at that back then, the university actually gave you the university's version of a calendar or day planner. So I would use that, and then I would create my own like metaphysical correspondence grimoire pages, and then print them out double-sided and physically and manually tape them into the back of my spiral bound day planner. And then eventually that gave me the idea of creating the entire planner on my own and now having those pages baked into the back of my day planners. You'll see at the very back of your day planner, there are these page spreads. So what I did was for this page, I cut off the top part and I manually taped and created a little pocket folder for the back of my day planner. If you print these out with Lulu prints or it gives you an extra blank page at the end. So what I did with the extra blank page is I don't know if you can see it, I actually created an additional secret pocket of sorts with that extra page. And then you tape it on the bottom and you have that little extra little part to tuck in loose papers. In general, whenever there's a section prompted in the day planner that I don't quite know how to fill out for myself, I consult the cards. I will focus on, for example, forecasting or projecting for the third quarter on professional matters. If, for example, I don't know what to write in the third quarter section on professional matters or spiritual matters or family matters, I will actually just take out my tarot deck, think and focus, anchor my thoughts on that particular inquiry, and pull a card. And then write about that card in that section of my day planner. I have no problems looking in the guidebook, looking in the little white book, and using the passages from there to pull out keywords or key phrases and passages and putting that into my day planner. If I'm using somebody else's tarot deck that's not my own, I absolutely will open up the guidebook that the deck creator produced and pull out keywords from that deck creator's guidebook, from their words, and integrate it into my planning. One reason I do that is it's almost as if the deck creator or the author of the guidebook that comes with the deck I'm using becomes my tarot reader. When I do readings for myself, sometimes I fear that I am biased, right? I read the card the way I, in a very biased way, want to read it for myself. So a checks and balances system I use when I'm reading for myself is to consult those guidebooks as written from the voice and perspective of the author of the deck that I'm working with. I find that that's just that extra layer of checks to make sure I'm not being overly biased or self-favorable in the way I'm interpreting the cards. I think it's so important to customize and personalize your Metaphysician's day planner as much as you can. Also, acknowledging some of the prompts in the day planner as it's printed, and then choosing very consciously to ignore it or to reinterpret it is very important as well. I think even that process of deliberation that you go through says a lot about you, says a lot about what you're willing and daring to do with your own life and with plans, that fate versus free will dichotomy that we are always kind of having to negotiate. And those conscious choices will end up reflecting how you choose to proceed with life. And so I think it's very important to think about that. Look at the prompts, and when it doesn't fit, why are you forcing it to fit? Daring to change what's pre-printed on the paper, to modify that and put something there that you want is a magical act. That's what metaphysicians do. So I really hope you will customize and personalize the pre-printed pages as much as you can. And where there are prompts you don't know how to quite fill in with your conscious mind, work at a different level of consciousness and consult divinatory sources.